Hello everyone, this is Sam and this is Legion. Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another comparison. On my left side we have the 2021 GMC Yukon Denali, and on my right side we have the current model for the Ford Expedition. And today I'm going to compare these two against each other to find out which one is the best out of these two models. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe and like. At the same time, special thanks for the new Yukon Denali goes to our good friends at Applewood GM, a GM dealership located in Ontario, Canada. If you want to take this for a test drive or get some sort of discount or promo, follow the link in the description box. You'll be able to get a nice discount or promotion on this model just because you're watching this video. At the same time, don't forget to check out Conquest cars for the latest reviews and new models, special monthly deals in different dealerships. Let's start comparing these two, but first, let's start with the price. Which one will cost you more in terms of the base model or even the current trims? The model that we have for the Expedition is the King Ranch. Meanwhile, on this side, the Yukon is the Denali Standard, not the XL, and the King Ranch is not the Max, it's just the Standard Expedition. The 2021 GMC Denali, the base model starts at about $53,000. Meanwhile, the Ford Expedition on this side starts at about $55,000 USD. For 2021, the Denali, the Yukon model, gets a new exterior design and of course a new interior, a lot more features, a lot more advanced features, better ride quality, and a tons of horsepower. The starting price for the Yukon Denali for 2021, it's at $74,000. Meanwhile, the Expedition, you're looking at about $73,000. The current model that we have here, the Yukon Denali with all the bells and whistles, you're looking at about $85,000. The same thing with the Expedition, you're looking at about $82,000, $84,000. Let's move on into the exterior. Let's talk about which one looks better out of the two. The current Expedition hasn't changed a lot. Meanwhile, the Yukon Denali here has a new design, of course. But which one do I like the most? First of all, I won't lie, the massive grille in the Yukon is not my favorite. That is, of course, my preference. That's not your choice. That depends what you like. Maybe you like that massive grille. Me, I don't like it as much. What I do like in the Yukon is basically the C over here, which stands from the letter C on the GMC. And the overall shape of the headlights compared to this, which is a bit more smaller and wider. But what I do like about this is mostly this jewel style headlight. At the same time, the overall shape compared to this. One thing you notice as you're looking at me right now, this is much lower compared to this, which is technically a bit higher. So as I'm standing right here, you can see the difference. Pretty much here is level, so it's not tilted or a little bit moved onto one side. It's basically flat all the way through. So as you can see, the difference in terms of height in the front is a bit higher on this side and lower on the actual Expedition. So I want to see how they drive, and of course we're going to do our regular test for the cabin noise. What do they offer under the hood? On my left, the Expedition has a V6 twin turbo that makes about 375 horsepower. Meanwhile, on my right, we have the standard V8 that makes 420 brake horsepower. The Expedition, in my opinion, could have gotten a bigger engine and more horsepower because it's such a heavy vehicle and such a big vehicle as well, which will require some sort of power to actually satisfy the driver. In my opinion, this so far, but we'll talk about that once we take it for a test drive. They're both all-wheel drive system and they both have automatic transmissions. Where things change a bit is in terms of suspension system. For 2021, GMC has decided to give it a more relaxing ride, which is this air suspension system that the GMC Yukon Denali comes with, something you don't find in the Ford Expedition. And the difference between a standard ride quality on a standard suspension system compared to an air ride is massive. And I know this because I've tried quite a lot of cars with air suspension system. It's much smoother and just softer, more like a boat ride kind of style, but not stiff at all. That's what I love about this thing. But what do they have in common? Well, first of all, with your keys in your hands, of course, you have keyless entry on both, power mirrors on both, and running boards. So once you open the door, the running boards come out on that side, and then the same thing on this side as well. They do take a bit longer in here, more faster it feels like on this side. Oh, that was quick. Let's try this. Oh, that was quick. So it took just a bit of time for the computer to figure out that the key fob is actually closer. Now, let's move on to the back and let's talk about what do they offer in terms of space and tech features. In order to open the tailgate, of course, you have a couple of options. First, through the key fob, and they both offer the option to open through key fob. One offers the remote start, the same thing with the GMC. Now, the GMC Denali has two options, whether you want to open fully the tailgate or you want to open it halfway. What changes is actually the rear design. You see, the Denali with that massive engine this year has quad exhaust on each side. It makes it more powerful, looks powerful, and it sounds pretty good. On this side, we don't have that quad exhaust, it's just the standards. But what they do offer is actually the split tailgate. So basically, on the Ford Expedition, what you can do, just press the camera here and then you open this part. As long as you have the key fob. We have the same thing for the 2021 GMC Yukon Denali. So you have the button located under here and then pop, and there you go. Now you have access to both areas. Now if you don't want to open the whole thing, you have the option to open just that. The other option you do have is basically with the kick. So if you have your key fob, let's close the second window latch here, and then you just basically slide your foot under, but you have to have your key fob with you. Let's find out where the Ford is. There we go. It's on the right side in here. Again, your key fob on this side, and let's see. In here, this has it in this area. And the GMC Yukon has it on the right side as well, similar to that. Now, the question that some of you may ask is, well, how much space do they offer? The interesting part is that both are very similar in size, but the GMC Denali third row, after the second row and the first row, will offer more cargo space compared to the Ford Expedition. In order to fold the seats, whether it's the second row or the third row, you have options on this side. So the button located onto the right, you can work the third row. You can basically fold this too by pressing that, or press it back again, we'll go back, and then or the first one single, or if you want to do with all three, you can press the middle one and all three will fold, and press back the button and then unfold. So you have the option through here. The second row though is manually adjustable, so that you can only fold them, but you have to unfold them back manually. It's the same thing in the Yukon Denali. So you have the buttons located in here for the third row and second row. The only difference is that in the third row in the Yukon Denali, you have to press these buttons together to fold and unfold the third row. And then you can automatically fold them back. In order to get into the third row, the GMC has thought of something very interesting. So usually in standard car, what you would do is just fold the seat and then you basically get in, or just push it forwards. In here, it's something very interesting. So you fold the seats. Now you have this lever located at the back where you just pull the seat back like that. Now you have so much more space to get into the third row, which again makes this such a comfortable vehicle compared to the Ford, which basically have to do it manually. It's such a little thing, but yet it makes a difference if you want to get in. For someone my height, this is an easy access to the third row. Meanwhile, in the Ford, you can only pull the lever at the top and then push the seat forward like this. Now, you still get some space, but not the same amounts that you would get in the Yukon Denali. You still get some space to get in, but the difference is far better in the Yukon Denali. Now, let's get in here and let me show you if it's easy or hard. So first of all, let's fold the seats. You pull the lever once at the top and then push the seat forward. This way you have space. Let's try to get in. You have a handle on the side of the door, and here we go. Now you're inside. It's not extremely hard to get in, of course, but that little space that you get in the Denali makes a bit of a difference. What I do love in the Ford is actually the option to move the seats in the back with this button located in here. So you can move the seat forward or back automatically. That applies to both sides, the seats in there and the seating sensor or the one. Now let's jump into the Yukon Denali and let me show you what it offers. In order to get in, we'll just pull this lever located onto the sides here, and then here you go. Now look at that. There's so much space in here to get in, and then you jump inside and here we go. Now, nice and comfortable. If you want to, you just push the seat down and there you go. The only difference is that at the back here, you don't get any buttons for the third row to adjust. But what you do have, it's this button here, which basically can operate the seat. Then you don't have to pull it out manually. What you can do, just press that button, and you have a full open way to get out. That's what I love, that small convenience that you get in this vehicle compared to the Ford. Now, let's try to jump out and let's talk about the second row. What do you get in both vehicles? And let's start first with the Yukon Denali. What do they have in common in the back, in the second row, in terms of features? Well, both have a climate unit in the center. It tells you the temperature, single zone climate unit in the back, heated seats, 2 USB ports, and a full charging port at the bottom. Charge your laptop or anything else with 120 volts. Where things change a bit is actually here. Even though this is hidden, there's actually a screen for both seats. So there's a screen on the left and one on the right, and this thing is touch screen. You can connect your phone and display in here. You can basically change all the settings. You have maps built in. You can display quite a lot of information. It's the size of almost an iPad Pro. In terms of the actual roof, this one doesn't have a split sunroof. And while in the Expedition has a split sunroof, not a full panoramic roof. Some people like that, some people will not. Now let's move on to the front and let's talk about how do they compare in terms of technology and features. Everything for 2021 model has changed completely. Whether it's the interior or the exterior. The interior, for example, is more refined, more luxurious, very similar to the new Cadillac Escalade. Flat dashboard. Not as outdated as the one in the Ford Expedition, which in my opinion will require some update. The interior in the Expedition is slightly outdated in some areas. The difference starts exactly with the infotainment system. This thing has a much bigger screen, has more features, amazing camera quality and so on, and a lot of extra features that you won't find much in the Expedition. So for example, the rear entertainment unit, which is attached to the front, you can change the rear media from the front and infotainment system. You can turn off the screens and so on. Amazing features. If you have kids, you want to mute it, if you want to lock it and so on. Great quality features in the front. In terms of buttons, they put a lot of them here in the center. Now there's more buttons. You have this glossy black interior in the front. We have wireless charging pads in here. It also offers a heads-up display, something that in the King Ranch you don't find. At the same time, very standard in the GM vehicles is the actual rear view camera, which turns on with the actual rear view mirror. Once you flip this part here, now you have it a standard screen, or you can do an LCD. Handy feature when you have ginormous vehicles like this too. But what the Ford offers is something very interesting that you see it in higher end vehicles too, is the actual pedals. You see, in the Ford, you can adjust the distance, not just the seats, but also the distance with the pedals and the seats. So you can adjust back and forth. So if you want to adjust the footrest in here, like the brakes and all that, what you can do, just press this button and then they go up, and then you press that, you move them down. So you can push them backward or forward. You have the option right here. At the same time, in the Ford, you have the option to actually fold the headrest through here. The Yukon Denali, similar to the Ford, offers 2 wheels, 4 wheels low or 4 wheels high or automatic. At the same time, you have security features. You have lane assist, parking assist here. You have downhill assist, stop and start, and for the power. And as I mentioned, it has a heads-up display, so you can adjust everything from there. The Ford Expedition offers massage seats with different types of modes. Meanwhile, in here, we don't have that option. Both offer the option to actually use the rear climate units from the front. So in case if you have kids playing around, you can basically lock it from the front. That way they don't play around with it. At the same time, you still get the basic connectivity, Wi-Fi, 4G LTE, and you get the actual Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so you can connect your phone, Bluetooth connectivity, and so on. So those are standards in these new vehicles. They're not very, very far away from each other in terms of features in the front. It's just one offers some, the other doesn't. But the basic features that you get in standard new vehicles today are offered by both models. The only difference in here is that the interior is slightly updated in the new Yukon Denali. Now, I did a comparison versus the old one, so if you want to watch that comparison, the video will be in the description box so you can watch new versus old. Now, let's go for a test drive and let's talk about how do these two compare in terms of power delivery, in terms of driving capability, in terms of comfort level, and of course the cabin noise. So, let's go for a drive. It's about 30 degrees today in Toronto. I have my ventilated seat on. I have set the temperature inside perfect. Now it's time to enjoy the ride. What I love about the Fords that I don't like in the GMC is the front end. It's so lifted in the front that it's actually much higher than a pickup truck, and it's kind of annoying at some point. If you want to look forwards, that's one annoying thing. What I do love about the GMC though is the ride quality. The Ford Expedition does a very good job to, eliminates that hard ride on certain potholes or areas where there's a lot of cracks on the road. It's a great machine. It does the job. The ride though in the suspension system is much better when you go to certain bumpy areas. For example, you go over a speed bump. In an air suspension system, you might not feel it at some point. If it's too high, maybe, but if it's a bit low, you can go through without even feeling it. And here you'll feel a bit of a vibration and a shaking as well. That's the difference between a standard air suspension system and a standard ride like this one. Some people will not care about that, and I understand that, absolutely. Like, it's air suspension, makes no difference. The ride quality in here is soft as well. But for me, if I was going to pick between the two of them, I'll be okay with the air suspension system because it's not a huge difference. One thing I want to mention about the rear entertainment unit, in the Expedition wrench that we have, the King wrench, is actually not offered with that. It wasn't at some point, but you can add it as an extra feature. I believe you can purchase it through Ford, a rear entertainment with a DVD player. Not as advanced as the one in the GMC Yukon Denali, where you can connect your phone and all that stuff. Not as big as that, but you can also pick a standard rear entertainment unit, something that I should have mentioned while I was talking about the actual entertainment in the Yukon Denali. Keep that in mind. In some places they do offer a rear entertainment unit for the Ford Expedition. Somehow this King wrench did not come with it. Surprising, because this is from Ford Canada. What do I like about this Ford? What else? Well, driving experience. It feels like a standard SUV. It doesn't feel as big on the road. Now, one thing I noticed with this, if I want to reach for the camera, it's kind of far away from me, even though it's not a wide lens, it's just a standard lens, and you can still see me without having a wide lens, which is pretty cool. That just shows you how far away the camera is from me. Visibility in this vehicle is pretty good too. I wish Ford would have offered that option. I kind of like that, the rear view mirror, where it turns into an LCD based on the camera that it has in the back. Power. This thing suffers with the V6. If Ford would have put or offered a V8 in this vehicle, it would have made a bit of a difference, in my opinion. It feels like the car is struggling to pull its own weight. It's like a big guy with muscles that can't run fast. Literally like that. There's a lot of muscles in it, for somehow it can't run as fast. In the Denali Yukon, I noticed that it pulls quite a lot. Even when I compare it to the older model, it's still far better. Of course, it makes more horsepower. That's obvious. It has 2 more pistons in that. So it does make a difference at the end. But this, on the other hand, I wish Ford could have offered that option to actually make this a bit more powerful. Maybe make it as powerful as the Navigator or the Aviator that makes like 400 something, 500 for the GT. Now keep in mind that, of course, the Expedition is slightly outdated, which is the fairest comparison between the current, the new model for the Yukon compared to this, which is slightly more outdated. But this is what we have at the moment. These are the only 2 cars we can compare. When time comes, Ford introduces something new, I will of course compare it to the Denali. But at the moment, this is all we have. Now, let's push this bad boy into, let's do driving modes, Eco and Sport. You could do better. Oh, it's struggling so much to pull its own weight. You can tell right away. In like the fuel economy, the average just goes like 30 liters per 100 kilometers once you push it. Like, the engine is working twice as hard. I don't even have it in 2-wheel drive. I think I have it, yeah, it's in 4-wheel drive. It's actually 4-wheel automatic. Interesting. Another feature that I should have mentioned about this vehicle is that another feature that the Ford Expedition offers is actually the ability to park itself, but you have to work with the brake and the gas, not necessarily drive the vehicle inside. It won't do that, but it will basically steer and help you find the right spot. Once it picks the right spot, it will help you steer in. Handy feature for a massive, ginormous vehicle like this one. It's quite a great feature to have. In terms of safety features, they both have lane assist, they both have gap assist, they both have cruise control, like advanced cruise control. They both have those extra options. I believe at some point, potentially, GM might offer Super Cruise in the GMC. It's not guaranteed yet, but I read it somewhere and I've talked to a few people that work, and they say there is a potential that GM will start offering across their platforms, across their models, the Super Cruise, which is an amazing system, very advanced. It works well with highways, not standard roads. Now, next one is the actual cabin noise. Which one is better out of the two? Well, as usually, I did a test between this and the Yukon Denali. The test came out at 61.5 for the Yukon Denali. Meanwhile, for the Ford Expedition, at 62.5. A bit of a difference, but not far off. It's not huge. When it's like 3 dB difference, yeah, that makes a bit of a noise and all that. But 2 and under, you're still within the same limit. The test was done on the same roads, doing 70 kilometers an hour. So they're actually not far off from each other. Very capable vehicles. Very quiet inside as well, very comfortable inside. Now the question is, which one would I buy out of this two? And I will say, unless Ford would offer some sort of discount in this model, which I think in the States they do offer, because I checked on the website, you might be getting up to like $7,000 to $8,000 discount. There's a good reason behind it, because right now this is slightly outdated. I would go, in Canada, I didn't see anything available in terms of discount. I would go for the Expedition. It does the job, offers extra features. I'll throw in that entertainment unit in the back and so on. But at the point where we are right now in Canada, I think for the money, for the price, instead of getting the Expedition, I'll just go all the way to the Navigator or get the Aviator. It's pretty much the same money. It's just more features in the Aviator, better styled, more horsepower. You also get a hybrid option. Or go for the Yukon Denali. Far more space in the back, far more cargo space, more features, better interior. The entertainment unit in the back is worth quite a lot of money. Crazy features as well. So, my opinion out of the two for today's comparison, I would say the Yukon Denali does a better job. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this too. Which one would you pick in your opinion? And let me know why. That was it for today. As always, don't forget to check out Applewood GM. I work with these guys. I've worked with them for a while. They're great people to work with. They always have a vehicle for me. They always have cars for me ready. And they're always they're actually one of the best dealerships in Ontario right now in terms of sales volume. So I work with great people. Reach out to them. You'll find a link in the description below. You can get a discount or a promo, but just because you're watching this video, and follow that link in the description below. At the same time, if you have an Instagram, you use Instagram. You like free stuff, right? Follow me on Instagram at KyleLegion1 if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. You can still stick to my YouTube channel. But, you know, if you want to get some extra stuff, like for free, I usually do a lot of giveaways there. You can do that by following the link in the description box. That was it for today. Please be safe. Cheers.